Good morning and welcome to another day of Read Alouds. I hope that you've been enjoying our books for this week. They all have a common theme in them. So I want you to start thinking about what that theme might be, because that's our question for Friday. Today, we're going to read another story, and this story is called Isla. And this story is actually a sequel. That means there's a book before this book that gives us more information about why they're where they are. So the sequel to this book is called Abuela. And in Abuela, we meet our character, Roslava, and we meet her Abuela, and they talk about their relationship and how close they are. So it's important that we remember in this story that Abuela and Rosalba are really close. They're Abuela is her grandmother, but they just have a really strong relationship. So in this story, Abuela is going to take Islaba on a journey. I wonder where Roslava and Abuela are going to go. Let's read to find out. Isla by Arthur Dorros and illustrated by Elisa Clevin. When Abuela, my grandma, tells me stories, we can fly anywhere. Today, she's telling me about La Isla, the island where she grew up. We are flying there together. Do you think they're really flying? No, she's just going to tell her a story. And because they're so close, Abuela really tells this story vividly. And Rosalba can see it in her mind, and they go together. We travel a long, long way to where it is always warm. Mira, Abuela calls. Mi Esmeralda. I look. I see her island sparkling like a green jewel in the sea. Our tropical, says Abuela, taking a deep breath. The hot, damp air smells salty. Look at that island. You can really see what the author was telling us with their words. We fly over forests, fields, and tiny towns to visit Tio Fernando, Tia Isabel, and my cousin Elena. Even though we're up high, they see us and wave. Tio Fernando is my uncle, my mama's brother. Abuela is her mother. She raised them on La Isla. Oh, so this is where Abuela is from. Abuela is telling a story to Rosalba about where she grew up. Bienvenidos! Tio Fernando welcomes us. He and my mama grew up in this house with Abuela and Abuelo, my grandfather. Abuelo died before I was born. Now, Tio Fernando lives there with his family. I think he looks like mi madre, except he has a beard. El Osito, Abuela calls him, the little bear. They're so happy to see each other. Abuela shows me all around. In the front room, she and Abuelo used to run a little store. On the wall, next to a picture of the store, is a painting of Tio Fernando with a giant fish. Que pescada, Abuela says, telling me it was a fish. Tio Fernando found it in a shallow stream. He brought it home to keep it for a pet. Abuelo said the fish would be happier in the river. Tio Fernando was sad to see it go, so Abuelo painted a picture for him. That really tells you a lot about who Abuelo is, doesn't it? Yeah. Tio Fernando was so sad to see this fish go that his mom, or Abuela, painted a picture just for him. She really is kind. Los niños, Abuela says, showing me a picture of some children. It's my mama and Tio Fernando playing in a fountain. Abuela and Abuelo built the fountain with stones from the rainforest. It is still in the yard. Es magica, Abuela said. The fountain doesn't seem magical. The water splashing over stones sounds like birds are singing. Now Abuela wants to show me l'amor of la Isla. Elena says she'll meet us later on the beach. Que disfruten, she calls. She wants us to have fun. So you notice in this story that there's a lot of Spanish words. That's because this family speaks Spanish. Vamos a la selva, said Abuela. We're going to the rainforest where the fountain stones came from. We fly there with parrots flapping beside us. The treetops are a bright garden, I tell Abuela. Y una sombrilla, Abuela says. They are an umbrella, too. Down below, it is dark and cool. Como la noche, like night, Abuela tells me. But she can scoop up a tree frog or a lizard running on a leaf. Forest eyes are wide open. My eyes are open, too. A mucho más que ver, Abuela says, taking off. There is still much for us to see. We fly to the busy old city, zooming between colored buildings and over blue brick streets. Over the square, Abuela and I spin and dip for the people below. Pajores grandes jugando, Abuela says and laughs. We are like big birds playing. She's really taking her all over La Isla, isn't she? We zoom down to the harbor where the big ships are. De todo el mundo, Abuela tells me. They come from all around the world. Mira! She points to a large building. It was made by Spanish people who sailed to the island hundreds of years ago. She's showing her just everything about La Isla. So, how do you think Abuela and her granddaughter, Rosalba, feel about each other? Yeah, I really think they enjoy each other, they like each other, they really want to spend time together. What in the story tells you that? Yeah, I think the way that they're connected in this picture, look at, they're holding hands. And it's so important for Rosalba to hear this story that she's imagining it just like her abuela is. That really shows me that you're right. They do enjoy each other. Abuela and Abuelo used to come to the city to buy things for their store. Ha cambiando, Abuela sighs. The city has changed. Now there are tall buildings and parking lots and supermarkets. Vamos al viejo mercado, she says. She wants to go to the old market. And we do go, soaring high above highways. To an old market in the countryside. People calling out what they are selling. Platanos, mangoes, papayas, cocos, piña dulces, Abuela calls. When she was little, her family grew sweet pineapples to bring to the market. The market is hot and crowded. Soon we are ready to cool off. Wonder where they're going to go on La Isla to cool off. Were you right? Yeah, the ocean. Remember, it's an island, so it's surrounded on all sides by the sea. Vamos a nadar, Abuela says. She used to swim here when she was my age. Then she takes my hand and we dive in. All kinds of fish flap around us. Round fish, thin fish, fish with stripes, and fish with spots. Abuela leaps and dives too. Nuestro circo, she says. We have our own circus. Mi pez volver, she tells me. I'm her flying fish. Look at, again, still holding hands because of that connection and that relationship they have with each other. Tia Isabel, Tio Fernando, and cousin Elena join us. Tio Fernando is wearing his snorkeling goggles. Abuela jokes that he looks like a forest frog. We float on our backs and the water meets the sky. We can float anywhere. They really can, can't they? When we get home, we're hungry from our swimming. Volemos, Abuela calls. We fly up into the treetop to pick ripe mangoes. Our hands are sticky from the syrupy juice. Abuela picks the ripest ones for Elena and me. We'll help make a salad with mangoes and other island fruits. I'll tell Elena what I've seen on her island. After our meal, we sit out in the garden. Birds, insects, even frogs are chirping. Nos quedan, Abuela says when they are singing to us. The plants around us smell sweet and strong. It feels like the garden is our room. With las estrellas, the stars are sealing. Ya es hora de partir, Abuela announces. It is time to go. The stars will light our way. Their journey is coming to an end. We fly through the night, back toward home. When we see New York City, the lights look like thousands of stars. Es magica, I said to Abuela. Si, she agrees. Es magica. After so much flying, we need to sleep. Abuela asks me what I'm thinking about. La Isla, I tell her. Nuestra Isla, she tells me. I do feel like it is our island. We can visit it any time. Pronto, Abuela says. Soon. And that's the end of our story. So, did Abuela and Rosalba really go to the island? No, of course not. It was all in her imagination. But in her imagination, she did travel there, and she was able to see all of the things that Abuela was telling her about. So our question for today says, what lesson did Rosalba learn? Where would you go? So Rosalba learned something very important in this story. And with that lesson, she learned something and decided to go to La Isla. I want you to think about, where would you go? If you could imagine anywhere to go and travel to hear and see and feel all of those things, where would it be? Make sure you take out a piece of white paper and answer your question for today. When you're finished, you're going to read for 20 or 30 minutes on your own. Turn your paper over and think about the stories that you read. Think about a character. What lesson did they learn? I'll see you tomorrow.